Back in December, the mayor tasked his administration with convening a summit to bring everyone together in one room who's had any role to play in preventing retail theft. At each and every table in the room, we had a store owner, a business representative, law enforcement personnel, district attorney or a rep, and social service providers. For several hours that day, each group had a chance to really talk it out, get to the bottom of exactly what was driving this increase in retail theft that we have seen in New York City over the past few years. And more importantly, right, start to come up with viable, actionable solutions. This is how government should work. You bring different voices with different perspectives, with different views to the table, and you work together to come up with a plan. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Since that Retail Theft Summit, we have continued those conversations and started to implement the ideas that came out of it. We still have a very long way to go, and the plan being released today is our roadmap forward, and we are optimistic and confident that we can fix this. We have to fix this because it affects every single one of us. Every instance of retail theft represents another inch that a business door is going to close for good. It means a lower paycheck, or even worse, a job cut. It's an employee or a customer feeling unsafe. It tears at the fabric of what's good about New York City. People should not look like they have to look over their shoulders when they're buying groceries or picking up their medicine from a pharmacy. Retail theft doesn't just strike at the heart of our economy, it strikes at the heart and livelihoods of New Yorkers. We should not, we cannot, and we will not tolerate it. And in this plan, we've recognized, and this is what happens when you bring everyone together, there are people who steal out of necessity. The plan is how to give them their resources. And there are people who steal because they had organized crime, and they should feel the wrath of New York City. Under the mayor's leadership, we will continue our collaboration with our partners, and we will fix this issue. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Great job. And all the DAs and the AG, we should all do an investigation on why Mike Gardner has on a suit and tie today, you know, for all things. I cannot thank Deputy Mayor Banks and our DAs and AG. They were at Gracie Mansion discussing this very real problem. And it's, again, it's not a national problem. I mean, it's not a local problem, it's a national problem. Some of this retail theft took place in other parts of the country. It caught on social media, and it spread as fast as the pandemic across our entire country. And there was just a real uncertainty on how to address it. Many of our retail establishments really don't want their employees playing a role of police and attempting to stop people, because that could be extremely dangerous, as we witnessed several of the incidents where people interceded in the actual thefts and they were assaulted. And so we had to come up with a holistic approach, and that is exactly what our partners in law enforcement actually carried out at Gracie Mansion for those number of hours. And the way we laid it out, having our partners in the retail industry, something that I've communicated with throughout my years, those great leaders in NSA and others, as well as our law enforcement personnel, partnering with the New York City Police Department, our prosecutors, to really break down actually what was happening in our city and in our country around retail thefts. And I believe the deputy mayor really laid out the case. When someone witnessed the systemic thefts that you're watching in our establishment, it hurts the entire economic stability of the city. It hurts those who are employed there. When you get a chain store that closes down, you lose the employment. And those individuals who are employed there, they're out of employment. It hurts the individuals who are assaulted because of this action, and it just hurt and bottlenecks our entire criminal justice system. And so our goal at the Retail Theft Summit was to sit down and break down into its pieces what is the problem, and as I use the analogy all the time, what are the many rivers that fed the sea of retail thefts? And we walked away with, as the Deputy Mayor alluded to, three categories. Number one, you had those who were stealing because of substance dependency. They were going in, they were stealing items, some of them were selling them on the streets, some of them were selling them for reasons to feed their dependency. So we had to address that issue. The second was there were those who were stealing because of needs, and they did not know how to access the various city services, the food pantries, and the other areas where you can actually, instead of having to steal that loaf of bread, you can go and actually find the various places where we are supplying people with the food they need. And the third is an extremely significant one. There are those who were organized crime who picked up on the fact that these thefts were taking place, and they zeroed in on paying boosters and paying individuals to go in and steal these items. The Attorney General last year did a major takedown operation, partnered with the New York City Police Department. She identified that this was a problem, and we started to unravel those structures that were having well-established and organized systems of theft and then resell. And looking at all of those three categories, we made it clear that we were going to come together and solve the problem together. So 70 stakeholders from public and private sat in a room together at Gracie Mansion, and we put together the retail theft, and that's the report that we're going to look at today. And what's interesting is that we had a shocking 44% increase from 2021 to 2022. And if you will look again, you will see that this was the trend on social media. I keep talking about how social media is continually feeding some of the dysfunctions that we're seeing in our society. But you saw this over and over again, playing out over and over again on the various social media channels. In 2022, we made over 22,000 retail theft arrests. And here's the number that jumps off at all of us. 327 repeat offenders were responsible for 30% of those arrests. 327 people were responsible for the 22,000 arrests. And remember, those arrests, not actions. Many of them did the theft and got away with it, but there's a clear pattern that we talk about all the time of the extreme recidivism that's driving much of what we see in the problems in this city. Those 327 individuals were arrested more than 6,600 times for an average of 20 times each. And we can't just continue to allow recidivist behavior to harm our city. It doesn't matter if it's retail theft or if it's violent crimes. We just continue to see the pattern of repeated offenders that we want to go after and to tackle. And so the partnership, what we are creating in a city is 2 new diversion programs to allow nonviolent offenders to avoid prosecution or incarceration by helping them address underlying factors like substance abuse or severe mental illness. Some of these cases, and many of our retail shops and owners would tell you, you have people that come into stores, clearly can't take care of themselves, going into the stores repeatedly, stealing items, and they're dealing with real mental health issues. We're going to also train workers in de-escalation tactics and security best practices so that they can know how to address this issue. We're going to increase enforcement against repeated offenders and organized crime. That's the partnership we want to develop with our state and local prosecutors. By advocating at the state and federal level, we're also going to advocate on the state and federal level with additional authentication procedures to prevent the resale of stolen goods. This resale on the social media channels of items that were stolen from stores, and now you're openly selling them on social media. It's just unacceptable, and we must get help on all levels of government. And we build on the NYPD's Operation Safe Shopper by establishing neighborhood retail watches that would allow businesses to share real-time intelligence. This is one area we're very excited about. If our businesses are sharing real-time intelligence, we can prevent much of these thefts. And there has been an operation that was put in place that has shown promising results, and we're excited about continuing that. And our administration is going to continue to go upstream. We're going to continue to look after those who are dealing with substance abuse, those who are dealing with mental health issues, to give them a better pathway than walking into a Dwayne Reed or a Target or an NSA supermarket and carrying out the thefts that we have witnessed in this city. And so we're pleased at the results, and now it's time to take that documentation and move it into implementation so that we could ensure that we stop what is happening across this nation in retail thefts. We believe we have a model that we're going to share with our law enforcement partners across the country, but we also are going to share with our retail theft establishments here in the city. The more that they share information, because the person who's stealing in Dwayne Reed is also stealing in Walgreens, Target, and many of our other stores. It's the same individuals. They move from one location to another and carry out these actions. And if we are organized together, we can bring a conclusion to it. And so I want to bring on AG, who has been a real partner. She has been on the forefront of this issue. As I stated last year, she took down a major operation where a warehouse was filled with goods. With her partnership and the New York City Police Department, we're going to continue to pursue this, and I want to thank our prosecutors for joining us in this. And I just want to also join Phil and just really thanking Barbara, who has been a real hero here in the Harlem community. This beautiful shop here, using the open retail space to become a community hub so that we can have a community-driven approach to dealing with quality of life and public safety. In February, we walked in the rain up and down 125th Street with Congressman Espaillat, and she pointed out some of the concerns that we were having on this major economic strength of this community in Harlem, 125th Street. And so I'm going to turn it over to our AG and have a few words. Thank you, Attorney General.
Thank you so much. Let me begin by thanking the Deputy Mayor Banks, as well as Mayor Adams, for their commitment to help improve the quality of life in our city and address public safety in general. The scourge of retail theft is something that impacts our businesses and everyday New Yorkers each and every day. I know that prices are high, inflation has been cutting into our paychecks, and hard conversations have been had around kitchen tables on a daily basis. But stealing is not the answer. It is a crime that hurts businesses, hurts New Yorkers, and frankly hurts our entire communities. Our small businesses are already struggling with high cost and low profit margins. Piling on lost revenue because of retail theft hurts these small business operators. So many of whom are simply they want to just realize the American dream. It is important that we know that New York City retail theft across New York City has increased dramatically, and that has harmed businesses, harmed New Yorkers, and created a sense of that we are not safe in the city of New York. There's been a 77% increase in retail theft over the past 5 years, and we've seen a 45% increase from 2021 and 2022. This is a problem that is getting worse, and that is why we are all here today to step up and to take action. When businesses have to try and recoup lost revenue from retail theft, it basically ends up being New Yorkers, law-abiding New Yorkers, who ultimately pay the price. Last May, as was mentioned, my office teamed up with Mayor Adams and his administration to take down a massive retail theft operation that stole and resold millions of dollars worth of goods, operating out of 2 major warehouses in Queens. The dozens of criminals involved in this criminal enterprise stole everything from coffee to gift cards, from cosmetics to electronics. And by removing these individuals from our streets and our stores, we helped address this problem. But clearly, more work is needed. And for us to have thriving communities where residents and visitors feel safe and can go about their lives, we need to address retail theft right away. And so I want to thank Mayor Adams for organizing this event and for his work to confront this issue, because we need to take action and stop retail theft, because it represents a societal scourge before it does more damage to our businesses, our communities, and to our city and our state as a whole, because it impacts individuals on a daily basis. I thank the mayor, I thank the deputy mayor, I thank the district attorneys, I thank all who have assembled here this morning to address this issue.
Thank you, Attorney General. Next, we're going to hear from NYPD's Chief of Crime Control Strategies, Mike LaPetrie.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Adams. Good morning. So I thought it was fitting that as I entered here today on 125th Street, that there was, I think I saw 6 police officers on foot. They are not there because of this press conference. They're there for a reason. We realized the issues of retail theft, and we moved hundreds of officers into areas where we saw the highest amounts of retail theft. So what are some of those areas? 125th Street being one of them. White Plains Road in the Bronx. 8th Avenue Corridor in Manhattan. Canal Street in Manhattan. Queens Boulevard. So we realized that the police needed to be out there on foot in and around these business districts. And I just want to acknowledge the district attorney's offices that are present today. There has never been better coordination, collaboration, or prioritization when it comes to retail theft. We're sharing data, and we're targeting the individuals that continue to prey on not just the businesses, but everyday New Yorkers. So the mayor talked about the 327 people last year that were arrested almost over 6,000 times. So let's talk about the 250 people this year that have been arrested almost 2,500 times. Yes, 250 people in 2023 have been arrested almost 2,500 times. Again, that's 30%. Who are these people? 52% are convicted felons. That's up from the 327 of 45%. 25% are incarcerated today. Those 250 people, those are the individuals that we feel should have swift and certain consequences when it comes to prosecutions. And we are collaborating with our prosecutors, and we are seeing the incarceration increase when it comes to these individuals. Again, the mayor touched on it, the deputy mayor touched on it, the attorney general touched on it. You know, when we collaborate with the DA's offices, those are the individuals that we collaborate. Of the arrests this year of retail theft, 70% of arrestees this year have been arrested for prior shoplifting complaints. We have individuals that have been arrested over 30 times just this year, targeting the same business, the Targets, the Carters. The top 25 businesses in New York City that are being targeted by these recidivists, 5 are pharmacies and 20 are chain stores. Yes, the same pharmacies that people used to walk 2 blocks to go to now have to get on a bus because that pharmacy was closed down. And working with the DA's offices, working with our private sector, law enforcement, professionals, it's continuing to see a small improvement. So I'll talk to you about the small improvement. So this year, complaints are down about 1,000, about 5% less complaints this year. What I like is arrests are up 20%, almost 1,500 more arrests than last year. Also, when we're not making a summary arrest, our detectives are clearing more cases via shoplifting. And again, this is prioritizing. This is asking our detective bureau to target the locations and target the individuals that continue to prey on those locations. Shoplifting calls via 911 have gone up. Again, collaboration, asking the businesses to call us when they're victims of shoplifting. Those are the things that I like to highlight, and those are the small positives that I see. I'd like to thank everybody.
Thank you, Chief. Next, we're going to hear from the Manhattan District Attorney, Al Bragg.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Banks, and thank you to the mayor for convening us last year and for just being extraordinary partners day in and day out. And she's been thanked before, but I have to thank her again as we're here in the village of Harlem in Manhattan. Barbara Askins. We sat around a table right where you're sitting today, yesterday, with stakeholders, community leaders, small businesses, NYPD, Captain Shepard from the 2A. It's that integration, that effort, which the mayor has led citywide. Barbara Askins is leading right here on 125th Street. We know Manhattan is the retail capital of the country, and 125th Street in many ways is the heartbeat. We cannot accept a system where individuals are cycling in and out, coming out again to shoplift. It's bad for the stores, it's bad for the businesses, it's bad for our customers, it's bad for the individuals themselves. We got together under the mayor's leadership and deputy mayor's leadership late last year and have been coordinating. Before that, under Barbara's leadership in Manhattan, we had a small business alliance, and we've been working together. The good news is that these efforts are already starting to yield fruit. In Manhattan, year to date, petty larcenies are down 8%, robberies are down 5%, and shoplifting complaints are down 11%. I want to thank the chief for the resources, the work, the coordination, and the data-driven. We're pairing our data and working together. And again, want to thank the mayor and the deputy mayor, all the colleagues in government. It's all the stakeholders coming together. We know we have a lot more work to do, but did want to note those encouraging trends. Thank you.
Thank you, D.A. Bragg. Next, we're going to hear from the Bronx District Attorney, Darcel Clark. Morning.
Thank you and good morning. Thank you to you, Mayor Adams and Deputy Mayor Banks, for convening that summit last year to talk about retail theft. And to really, it's great to be here among all of you to talk about the fruits of that meeting. It was really a great opportunity for everyone to sit down at the same table to try to stop retail theft from destroying our communities through lost revenue, jobs, and just being able to conveniently shop in your neighborhood, as well as demoralizing the morale of our residents, the shoppers, the business owners, as well as their employees. I believe that the suggestions that have been made and the proposals offered in the mayor's report will provide concrete measures to get this scourge under control. Holding accountable organized violent thieves and addressing the needs of those people who shoplift because of poverty and mental health and addiction issues has always been the policy in my office. And I'm just happy that I have been able to partner with the business community in this effort to get this done. I've worked with a number of the retail councils, CAPS, Communities Against Saving Our Partnership, several Bronx bids, the National Supermarket Association, the bodega owners, the loss prevention officers from some of the big box stores, as well as the drugstore chains. All of us working together with NYPD has helped us deal with the recidivists that we've seen in the Bronx. And my General Crimes Bureau, along with my Crime Strategies Bureau, also works with these same partners to make sure that we identify the high priority larceny recidivists, because that is the heart of what is happening here, to deal with those who are causing the most harm because of their recidivism. And we've been able to secure dispositions for under this program and this partnership, whether it's ranging from getting mental health treatment for somebody, drug treatment, all the way to people serving time in jail for their crimes. You know, it's also wonderful that just yesterday that the Bronx Community Foundation, a not-for-profit, announced a program in the Bronx that's going to start in South Bronx and other parts of the city where they're going to be providing grants to bodega owners so that they can get cameras and panic buttons in their store. Their stores. Yep, that's going to be phenomenal. And those are some of the things that we heard at the summit, sitting down at the table. Those are some of the things that those bodega owners said to me. It's not just the big box stores. What about the mom and pop supermarket? Everybody is different, but they all play a great role in our community. So I'm happy that that is coming about. And then also I was happy to see, Mr. Mayor, that my office's Bronx CAMS program was mentioned in your report. And that's a community camera program that we have where we're asking business owners and residential owners, as well as NYPD and other people that have cameras, to register them with our office so that when something happens, we are able to secure evidence of that crime happening. It works for larcenies, you know, the thefts. It works for all kinds of things. Now, we're not watching the cameras. Don't think the Bronx DA is watching everybody's camera. No, we don't have that. But all it is a partnership with those owners, camera owners, so that when something happens, we know who to go to when a program occurs. So, you know, that is really phenomenal, and we're happy that that made, you know, part of the report. In essence, it's going to take all of us to get this done. This is a great partnership. This is a great start. My partners in government, all of the retail owners, every single one of us here are being able to make a difference if we work together. And we're talking about whether it's treatment to jail, all of it are the tools that we're going to have to use. So thank you for this report, Mr. Mayor, and I look forward to continuing my partnership against retail theft. Thank you.
Thank you, D.A. Clark. Next, we're going to hear from Linda Katz, the Queens County District Attorney. Good morning.
Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor Banks, to all my colleagues, to the Attorney General, who, by the way, a lot of folks can say, well, the state of New York is so big. How do we address certain events that are going on in the city of New York and throughout the state? This is an Attorney General who focuses and makes sure to take care of issue by issue. And Mr. Mayor, I loved your conference at Gracie Mansion. I loved it because I got to sit with Barbara. And everybody is talking about that, but we exchanged a lot of great ideas. Look, New York City is a city of neighborhoods. That's what we are, right? You go across the street, you get different neighborhoods, different food, different cultures, different people. It is a great city, and Queens, 190 countries, 200 languages, is no different. Everyone has a right to shop in peace. Everyone's got a right to go to the store with their kids and not worry about whether something's going to happen in that store. Everyone has a right to have their grandparents, their parents, sit on benches in parks and being safe. I have a right to make sure that when my son leaves the house and goes to 7-Eleven, that he's going to come home safe and sound, and that he's going to feel the fairness that's out there. We all know what this is like, right? We're talking about numbers, and Chief LaPetri, who we speak to very often, thank you for that, and he is doing his job every day in making sure that we know who the recidivists are and that the recidivists are being focused on in the city of New York. But you go into a store, you're standing online carrying your toothpaste and your goods and whatever you had to get from the local Walgreens, and you know what it's like. You're fifth online, you're standing there, and 3 people are walking in a knapsack, fills it up, and walks out, and you're standing there thinking to yourself, well, crime is at 100%. Those aren't good things for tourists to see. They are terrible things for our children to see. And to have an administration and law enforcement on both sides, law enforcement and police and DAs, that are working together with the mayor of the city of New York on training the individuals that work on the store, on mental health illness, on making sure people aren't hungry, on finding out why people are doing this every single day. You know, the district attorney of the Bronx talked about mental health illness. It is a real thing, but what's also a real thing is what the mayor said, which are hundreds of people are doing these thousands of crimes. Which is why in Queens County, we developed a trespass affidavit. It means you get one warning in a store. We have Flushing, we have Jamaica, Flushing, and Astoria have already signed up.